To the man in wheelchair who stole my camouflage jacket, you can hide, but you can't run. Welcome to Shave&Butcher, the wet shaving YouTube channel. I'm Johan, and today we'll do a shave as per usual, but we'll also discuss what it's like to be a new straight razor shaver and some advice, because real YouTubers give advice. I usually don't, because it's a rubbish channel. But here you go. One important piece of advice is when you shave with a straight razor, don't drink at the same time. This is Malbec from Mendoza in Argentina. Gives you a bit of courage. So, pretty random, but you need a razor, you need a weapon. So what do you choose? Well, you can have a straight razor, or you can have a Shave type razor, which is a razor that looks about the same, it handles about the same, but it has a removable blade which you can replace. This is a standard razor blade. There are other versions with different kinds of blades, and both have pros and cons. It is a little bit more forgiving, and I would say easier to shave with a straight razor, because these blades, especially when they're new, are really keen, very sharp, and I've shaved with these for many years. I still cut myself or get so-called weepers, so a bit more difficult to use, easier to manage, because you put in a blade, you shave until the blade is dull, so it's a number of shaves, and then you exchange it for another one. If you have a proper or real straight razor, which is just a single blade made in forged steel, you need a strop. The strop is like this, or you can have, I think I've got one over here. The first one was a hanging strop. This is a paddle strop. They do the same thing. It's all about basically taking the unevenness that the shave caused on this very sharp fine edge, putting that back into shape. You need a strop. A strop requires money because they're not cheap, and a bit of skill, because and I won't teach you. Watch YouTube videos, Google straight razor stropping, and you'll get all the information you need. But it's a bit more maintenance, a bit more tricky, more enjoyable in my, well, I shouldn't say that I shave with both kinds, but it's people start sometimes with a Shave&Butcher type razor with the disposable blades, because it's supposedly easier than a straight razor. It isn't. It's the other way around. But you can use both. This one is fancy and a bit pricey, but there are Shave&Butcher type razors that are cheap and cheerful. You get them for a few dollars or euros, and off you go. But if you want a straight razor, what do you do? Which one do you get? All up to you. But if it's your first attempt, and you'll find out if you like straight razor shaving or not. I would not spend $1 million. I would go to a Facebook page. There are several, Wet Shavers United, Shave Talk, Lather and Blade. This is today, as per the release of this video. These things change. But you can, several good Facebook groups where you can say, hello, I'd like to try straight razor shaving. Can anyone sell me a cheap and tearful but good razor, or lend me one? Quite possible that you could do that. Those pages are for nerds like myself, so you're bound to get something good and properly honed, because that's another thing. Apart from stropping, which you do every time after shaving or before or both, you need to hone these with with some frequency after 10, 30, 70 shaves. I don't hone myself because I'm not that interested in it, but then you need whetstones and stuff, and that's pricey too. I send mine to a guy who does it for me, and that's, you know, pretty good. But anyway, that's one kind of choice. I did promise shaving, so we'll try and do that. You need a soap and a brush. Brushes, there are loads of them. This is a boar brush. It's actually pig, made by a friend of mine. Well, he purchased the knot, as it's called, and he turned the handle himself. So this is natural hair boar pig. This is natural hair horse, which I like quite a bit. You can get natural hair in badger, that's the priciest and the fanciest, or you can get a synthetic brush, and there's a huge variety, and they are good, usually less expensive. Which one you choose is a matter of preference, really. And at the beginning you don't know, so you have to try something. You can buy a brush secondhand, just clean it and it's fine, or you buy a new one. You need a soap or a cream, and you should buy a proper one. Loads of artisans, which you also find through Facebook and Instagram, etc. This is a classic which you find in good supermarkets. It's called Tabak. It's been around for a long time. It smells like the tobacco flower. So we're gonna lather up and do a shave. So you can have a hard soap like this, or you can have a shaving cream. Both are good. There are shaving oils as well, which kind of work, but you want to avoid those. Big part of the fun in shaving with a straight razor is the lathering process. At least that's what most people think. So I've soaked the brush for a few minutes, because natural hair brushes need a bit of a soak to get properly moisturized. And then I just turn this thing around until I have loads of soap. And then you build the lather. You can do this in a bowl. You can just have a wet brush, put some cream on it, brush it into your face, and you're good to go. But building the lather is something you will find interesting. I can almost assure you, if you stay with traditional wet shaving. So I just paint this onto my face until it's nice and cakey. Again, loads of YouTube videos how to build a lather in a bowl, how to face lather, what have you. I'll do it on the quick. So I like my lathers quite wet, also a matter of preference. But I put a bit of water on, I let the tap run, I put a bit of water on, I mix that into the soap, and then I agitate. Like soap plus water plus agitation equals lather. Soaps, brushes, it's a world on its own, it's a rabbit hole. You may become a collector, which is fine. Just make sure you're not spending your kids' college funds, because it can get pricey. Straight razors, strops, whetstones for honing, you name it, and you can collect it. This is looking pretty good. Good for me, anyway. So you've got your razor, you've made sure it's sharp, and you can't tell if it's sharp. You have to trust someone. You go to, a Facebook group, you ask around who's good at honing, who can sell me a properly honed razor, you get it, and then you try. If you get a straight razor instead of a Chevette with a disposable blade and it's properly honed, do not strop it until you shave for the first time. You will only ruin the edge, or at least make it worse. Take it as it is. It comes in perfect condition, can't get any better. Shave with that so you get a feel for what a properly sharp, properly honed razor is like. It's going to be a learning process. I've shaved thousands of times. I still cut myself. You know, just have fun with it. I try to have a shallow angle, as shallow as I can, and then I turn it a bit until it cuts. You can hear it cutting. So shallow angle and very little pressure. Don't push at all. I mean, basically try to keep the razor from your face. Only touch it. And I can't, it doesn't matter what I say. You're going to apply too much pressure anyway. I promise you. And you'll do it many times until, you figure it out. And you've got to be careful. Because you can cut yourself. And as I said, I still do. It's just skin heals quickly. So don't worry too much about it. You're not going to disfigure yourself anyway. So good lather for me is when it falls off the razor by itself. And when it does, you say, boom, shakalaka. So that's half the face. Now, if you've wet shaved before with like a Gillette multi-blade razor, you will probably know how your beard grows. If it's your first time, you want to figure it out. Take a day's worth or 2 days worth of growth and feel your face, or use a cotton pad to figure out which direction the beard grows. And typically it grows in any direction possible. Mine is down here to the sides there. I have a twirly star shaped thing here, and then on the neck it goes like this and like that, all over the place. And why would you want to know that? Well, the first pass, or your only pass, should be with the grain, with the growth, in the direction of the growth. And what you want to do with the first pass or only pass is basically remove as much hair as possible. Usually, if you start with a day's worth of growth or several days worth of growth and you go against the grain, so counter the growth pattern, you will get irritation. So my first pass is essentially with the growth. Easiest way to cut yourself is when you put the knife to your face. So do that very gently, shallow angle, as little pressure as possible. So really almost no pressure. This thing is so sharp, you need almost no pressure. You need a little bit, but very little. So we're almost done with our first pass, which really removes most of the hairs. So if you've done that properly and with a properly sharp razor, that's all you need, basically. No one's gonna see the difference if you shave more than that. But you will feel it. You will feel it for sure. So a lot of people do 3 passes. I do 2. And you'll find your mojo, you'll find your way. It will take you years probably before you stick to something. because you want to experiment and you try something for a long time and you think, oh, I've got this figured out, but then you see something on YouTube or you want to try something else and voila, there you go. But my second and final pass is essentially against the growth. People who do 3 passes typically do make a first pass with the growth, a second pass across the growth, and a third pass across the growth in the other direction or against the growth or the grain. In some cases and some parts of your face, you will want to do a bit of stretching. I don't do too much because of my youthful skin. Sometimes you want to. If your face is slippery, you can take a piece of tissue or a piece of cloth or something and make sure you get a good grip. And off you go. Do a bit of stretching here. Don't watch my shaving technique too much. I'm not all that good at it. I have my style, but there are others who teach shaving much better than I do. For example, I hold the razor like a bread knife, whereas most people hold it like this, fancy style. Same thing. I can shave like that. I don't. I prefer this grip. Again, careful when you put the razor to your face. Do it much more slowly than I am. You can do long strokes, you can do short, repetitive strokes, which we call buffing. It's up to you. You find your way. If you choose a razor which is hollow grind, okay, the phone died, so if you want to be a straight razor shaver and a YouTube superstar, make sure your battery is properly charged. Anyway, if you have a hollow ground razor where there's quite a ghosts, can you see where this is good television, where the grind goes in like this? Okay, that's really poor imaging, as opposed to where it kind of doesn't, because it's pretty much a triangle anyway. Google hollow ground razors. If you've got a hollow grind razor, they will make more noise and you get more feedback. So which one should you get? It's a matter of preference. Hollow ground gets my vote. If you want to get a new one, by the way, this is from Ralf Aust in Germany. He makes new ones and they are very affordable compared to a lot of stuff out there. Size, and it's a lot of things to choose from. Type of nose. This is 6/8 of an inch. Pretty good size. 5, 6, 7. You find your sweet spot. Okay, so we're finishing up, and this is essentially against the grain. On the neck is a bit tricky for me because it's hollow here, so I do a bit of stretching to make sure I get everything and to make sure the skin is a bit taut. If you shave slowly, which you will in the beginning, or you should, your lather may dry up. and then just apply another coating and let the tap brown, you know, put the tips into the water, or however you add more water, and then, you know, just re-moisturize the lather. That's my shave. That's what I do. 2 passes. It's not right, it's not wrong. You find your own way. I get a shave which is very close. If you want to get a perfectly close shave, so-called BBS, or baby butt smooth, you may want to shave more passes, different angles and so forth. And that's the shave. So I just rinse the soap away. If you want to, you can get, and it's very cheap, a little stone called Allen stone, and this is made of aluminium oxide or something. That's, I don't use it every shave, but that's pretty good for, you know, getting the super small cuts or irritations, weepers, that you always get when you shave. Some you don't even see. So wet skin, put a bit of that on for a short while, and there you go. You need to clean your brush, get all the lather out of it, rub it against, you know, carefully or not so carefully, rub it against a towel, let it hang, if you can, upside down to dry for 24 hours. Very important to get the razor clean and dry. So you rinse it, you wipe it very carefully with a towel or a piece of tissue. Be careful with the edge. Try, you know, basically don't touch that. At least never touch it from below. You can wipe like this if you do it carefully. But after you've done that, and when it's clean enough and you have no spots, you may want to take it to the strop. I always do about 10 back and forwards to make sure the very fine edge gets properly dry. Alum has been on my skin for half a minute or a minute. I just rinse it off and you're good to go. And if you want to, that's all you need to do. A lot of people think the post-shave routine and the post-shave products are some of the coolest stuff. You don't have to use them. You can if you want to. This is from Sterling. It's an artisan company in the United States. This is Ozark Mountain. Lovely scent. Shake it up a bit because it's always some good stuff that needs a bit of mixing. Pour a bit into your hand. After you know this drill. And if you have alcohol in it, it's going to make a bit of a burn. And that burn is part of the fun. And then you can use balms, and you can use not balms, and you can do all kinds of things. But if you get as far as getting a razor and making a lather and start shaving, it's going to be tough. So my advice is keep trying. It's worth it. There will be blood. Sometimes you get a good shave and you think, oh, I've got it figured out. And then the next day you shave and it's havoc, you know, and blood everywhere. Part of the game. It took me, honestly, a full year to get good at straight razor shaving. You know, after a month or two, it was adequate and I got, you know, clean shaves. But before it became comfortable and fun, you know, it took a good year of shaving more or less every day. Maybe I'm slow. My point is, don't be discouraged because it's worth it. It's most days, the best part of my day is shaving. Can you imagine? Yeah, that's it. Anyway, that's it. Sorry about battery cutting out. It is what it is. I had dinner in between, so I was okay. I hope you were okay as well. Thanks for watching. Subscribe if you want to, if you thought that was interesting. You don't have to, but you can. Enjoy shaving, try it out, it's good fun. Why the hell not? Why not? Life is short. Okay, see you soon, I hope. Meanwhile, stay sharp.